Welcome to the Enjoy Life podcast. I'm your host, Nick Mazie. This podcast is here to help you to bridge the gap between where you're at right now and where you want to go. Because if you're intentional, you can choose your mindset, goals, and actions to guide your life to go in the direction that you want to go and enjoy it too. Of course, you have to do the work in order to reap the benefits. But the fact of the matter is this is your life, and so the work you put into it being what you want it to be is well worth it. You can always find more material and resources to help at nickmazie.com. I'm thrilled that you're here and joining in. Now let's get started. Welcome to episode 110 of the Enjoy Life podcast. If you've been with us, you know we're in the middle of a series on what you can do when your drive fades. You know, because motivation doesn't always stay at that high peak where it makes it easy to keep going forward. Sometimes it fades a little bit, and that doesn't mean that you got to give up on your goals by no means. It means that we got to find ways to keep pushing forward toward your goals, toward what you want in your life. You can do it. You can make it happen. We're in the middle of a series on that right now. If you missed the previous episodes, go back and listen to them on whatever device or app you're listening to podcasts on. They're there. Or you can go to the website, nickmazie.com. You can find it there too. Now, of course, the best idea would be to just subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. All right, now let's go ahead and dive into this episode. I'm going to go ahead and let you know what it's all about right up front. It's about how powerful self-talk can be. You know, these words that we tell ourselves. It's a powerful tool. It's a tool that you have. You know, being able to choose what you tell yourself. The words we tell ourselves are so powerful, but there's a few problems with them. So let me go ahead and talk about the problems first, and we'll talk about how it can help you, and what you can do. So the big problem with self-talk a lot of the times is that often it's negative. You know, sometimes we tell ourselves these things that are just terrible and mean. They're negative, and they work against our success. You know, sometimes the words that we're telling ourselves, they don't help us. You know, have you ever told yourself something discouraging? You know, something that you would never even tell a friend at all, like because it was just it was putting yourself down. Or maybe, you pretty much were encouraging yourself to not put forth any effort because there's no way that you're going to succeed. There's no way that you're going to close that deal, get that job, get that girl or that boy to notice you, or that conversation just wasn't going to go well. Have you ever said something that was completely against the success that you wanted? Yeah. If so, you're definitely not alone. And the self-talk, it's a powerful thing. Like I said, it's often negative. You know, it often works against our own success. You know, just naturally, it's not the most wonderful, encouraging, beneficial thing, but it can be. So another issue sometimes with that self-talk that just pops up that's not intentional is that your worst fears. You know, and this self-talk, the words that you tell yourself, they can zero in on that specific little fear that is very personal to you, that hits home, that hurts so bad. If somebody else said it to you, you would just start crying. But for some reason, you tell yourself those words. And probably the biggest, what can be the worst or the best, but on this side, it's the worst thing about self-talk is that we believe the words we tell ourselves. Now, even if it's not a concrete fact that we're telling ourselves, it's just like that we're not good enough or that we're not going to succeed. Well, that's not a fact, and all that. It's just an opinion. Even that you're not going to succeed. Well, no one knows the future, so there's no fact there. But when we tell ourselves something enough, we end up believing it. And that's where this power comes from. That's why the self-talk is so powerful, is that we believe the words we tell ourselves. If you tell yourself something enough, you're going to believe it. Well, that can be a terrible thing, or it can be a positive thing. See, self-talk can help you. If you've lost that drive to improve, or your motivation's plummeted, you can use the words you tell yourself. You can be intentional with what you say to yourself in your head, or really even out loud. You can be intentional with those words, and they can help you to get back on track and moving forward. Because self-talk can be positive. And it might sound a little hokey sometimes, encouraging yourself or choosing to say something positive to pump yourself up, but it works. See, and it can work towards your success. Now, not the just unintentional self-talk that pops up out of nowhere that hones in on your worst fear. No, that's not going to help your success. But being intentional and choosing to change that conversation going on in your head, to change those words, when you do that, see, that can help you to succeed because you also know what you need to hear. You know your worst fears, but the opposite of that, the opposite of those fears, you know what can help you. You know those encouraging words that would just make your day if somebody else told you. Well, you don't have to rely on somebody else. You can tell yourself these things. And I don't know, it might sound hokey. I don't care if it's hokey. The hokey stuff works sometimes. Which leads into another way that the self-talk can help you is that it is believable. Just like I said, that's one of the most powerful, terrible things about self-talk is that it's believable. This is one of the best, most wonderful things about self-talk is it's believable because you'll believe the words you tell yourself. And you can choose to do it. You can. And there's just a lot of ways that self-talk can help you to succeed, to make progress, to enjoy life more, to shift your mindset. Choosing that dialogue, that story that we're telling ourselves and that we're believing, choosing that and being very intentional about that has an amazing way to help you to go forward and to help you to make the most of your situation, your life, to make progress, to enjoy it. It's an amazing thing, but you got to be intentional. You got to choose to do it. See, and falling victim to the negative self-talk, that discouraging, honing in on your worst fears and being really terrible with the words you tell yourself. See, that can be a goal killer. That can stop all progress that you're going to make towards your goals. If you weren't, discouraged or had a lack of motivation or no drive before you started telling yourself negative things, it's going to go ahead and ruin all that and stop progress. It can be a major goal killer. But now if you're interested in 7 other major goal killers to avoid so that you can make progress towards your goals, go to nickmazy.com/7GK for 7 goal killers to avoid. And also, you're going to avoid the negative self-talk because you listened to this episode too. So I keep throwing out this self-talk. Well, what are you going to tell yourself? Well, first of all, you can just encourage yourself. You can say things that are positive, about yourself, about the effort that you're putting in, reminding yourself of the progress that you've made. And that's a huge thing. We're looking forward, but you can steal some motivation and some confidence from the past. You can do that by reminding yourself of progress that you've made, efforts you put forth, or steps that you've taken. You've already had some success. Even if it was just setting that goal, you can remind yourself that you've taken the steps to set that goal, and so you can take this next small little step. A big way to help get a boost to be able to take whatever that next step is to remind yourself of the reasons why the large goal you're pursuing or that ultimate ideal that you're going after. Why is that important to you and your life and your values? Reminding yourself of the progress and the reasons why. That's a great way to help get yourself on track and going forward. I'm not talking about how far you have to go to achieve your goals. You don't want to focus on that gap and that distance because when you focus on it, it just gets bigger. But if you shift your self-talk and the words you tell yourself to the progress that you've made and why it's really important to keep going forward, well, then all of a sudden you can take that next small step. And that next small step is another thing that you can use in your self-talk. Reminding yourself of just taking that next small step. It's not step number 20 when you're working on step number 2. Just tell yourself, look, I can do this. I've gone this far. I can take one more step. All I have to do is this next step. And those are words that I tell myself, all the time. And it helps me to keep putting forth effort and going forward, even when I don't feel like doing it. I mean, honestly, right now I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. Yesterday, just before recording this episode, I was feeling really rough. Today I'm feeling a little bit better. A little bit bugged that I'm fighting a little germ. But you know what? I still got in here, and I had a little conversation with myself. I got myself a little bit pumped up, and I'm doing what I need to do. I'm recording this podcast episode because this is a part of my goal of what I want to do and accomplish. And so I needed to have a little talk with myself to get myself on track because I don't always feel like doing that next step that I need to do. But I want my goal. I want my goal because it's important to me. I've already set that, so I'm going to have that little chat with myself to get myself on track, a little bit pumped up, and just able to take that next step. See, that self-talk, it can, when you tell yourself what you need to hear, it can help shift your focus. You shift your focus intentionally to whatever it needs to be on. And you can do these things. I promise you. For some reason, people think that, being intentional and with your self-talk, choosing the words you tell yourself might be like some nonsense. But also they're the people that tend to believe the negative things that go on in your head when, it's only negative they're telling themselves. They end up believing that. But if you want to tell them about telling themselves something positive, some good positive words to encourage themselves, that sounds like a bunch of woo-woo nonsense. No. If you believe what you tell yourself, then watch what you tell yourself. And you can notice when that motivation wanes or your attention gets shifted or you start to feel down. Notice what's going on in your head. Notice those words that you're believing. And then you can change them to help your success and happiness. Yes, you have to be intentional, and it takes a little bit of effort. I get that. But the effort's worth it because it's your life, and I promise you can do this. If you want to add some more power to the words you tell yourself, say them out loud. Stand up, put your shoulders back, say those words out loud, those encouraging words to yourself, about the progress that you've made and why your goals are important and how you can do this next step. Say those words out loud with confidence and emotion. Even if you don't feel it, feel like it, you can do it. Even if you're not feeling super confident, throw your shoulders back, stand up straight, say those words out loud, proud with confidence. Because it helps. It does. It sounds hokey. It looks funny when somebody walks in and you're doing this, but it doesn't matter because it's going to help you to take the steps to achieve your goals. Because when your motivation drops and your drive fades away, you can do these things to get back on track and moving forward. It's your life. It's worth it. I promise. So choose the words you tell yourself. Encourage yourself. Remind yourself of the progress that you've made, why your goals are important, and that focus on that next step that you can take. Choose your self-talk. Be intentional with it. Okay? Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining in, listening in. Above all else, please take steps toward the life that you want. That's what I just want that for this podcast to help you to do that. Now, you're at the end of the episode and you're still listening, so you must enjoy this podcast some. So please do me a big favor and take just 2 minutes and rate and review this podcast. It's a huge help with all the podcasts out there. You really do a good service to help more people find this. Thanks again for listening. Take care, and I can't wait to talk to you again next week for the next one in this series to hopefully help you to get back on track and moving forward whenever your drive fades. All right, take care.